This is John from Lou Zampini & Associates, and today I'm going to show you how to change the clutch spring on a DeSutter SD series pneumatic screwdriver. So the model I'm working with today is a DeSutter SD 160-LB320-S4Q. And this particular model has a lever start and a button reverse on it. Okay? So to change the clutch spring on this tool, what we need to do is we need to remove this nose piece, which is the clutch housing, and then we'll be able to access the clutch inside and get the spring off. So in order to remove this housing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp my driver in a vise, and there's a flat section on the nose here to make it easy for you. And then I'm going to use a spanner wrench to remove the body of the tool. So there's a flat ring, there's a flat spot on the ring underneath the grip here where your spanner wrench will fit over here. And just remember that this is a left-hand thread, so this goes in the opposite direction of a regular screw. So to unscrew this, I'm actually turning it to the right. And now that it's loose, I can just take it off by hand. And just for reference, if you want to look in here, you can see there's a ball bearing, there's a pin, and a spring in here. And behind this is the gearbox for the tool, but we're not going to get into that today. So I'm going to set this aside, and now I need to remove my clutch. So in order to do that, I'm just going to pull it out of the nose piece here, and as you can see, here's my clutch. And what we're changing today is this spring right here. So in order to get to this spring, I need to remove the lock ring that's on the top here, and then this adjustment knob which unscrews. So in order to get this lock ring off, I'm going to use a lock ring plier. Just place it in these two holes on the lock ring. Pop it off and put it aside. And then to get the adjustment ring off, I'm going to use the adjustment key that came with my screwdriver. Place it on here and just turn it to the right until this ring unscrews, and it will become loose enough for you to take off by hand. Now, one thing to note, when you take this off, hold it with the adjustment ring up. And once you get this ring off, you'll see that there are three little ball bearings here. You want to be careful not to drop those. And there's also a channel on the shaft of this clutch. And there's a small ball bearing that fits in between this ring and the shaft. And it keeps this ring from rotating. So you got to make sure you don't drop that ball bearing. So I would do this over a white surface or something that's bright enough that you can see if you lose any of these parts. And I'm just going to take this ring off, and the ball's still sitting in here. I'm going to set this aside, and now I have access to the spring that I'm going to change. So now all I need to do is take this spring off, take my new spring, put it over the top here, and then I'm ready to reassemble my clutch. So I'm going to take the ring with the bearings on it, place it right back on here, and again, that ball inside, you want to line it up with that channel because it fits right in that channel, and make sure you seat it in there good so it doesn't fall out. Now that that's on, we'll take the adjustment ring and place it back on here, and when you're placing this adjustment ring on here, there are some detents on the bottom side of it that go on top of these balls. So you got to make sure you place those detents down. And then screw it back on here. And you hear a couple clicks. It's engaging in the ball bearings, which means it's tight enough. So now I can put my lock ring back on. So again, I'm going to use my lock ring pliers to do that. And my lock ring is now reinstalled. Now I'm ready to put the clutch back in my driver. So I'm going to drop it back into the clutch housing here, twist it till it drops in there all the way, and now I can replace the body of the tool. And again, since this is a left-hand thread, you're actually going to turn this to the left to tighten it. And then I'm going to take my spanner wrench, just give it a little twist to make sure it's snug. And now my driver is reassembled and ready to use. Now, since we have a new clutch spring in here, you can go ahead and test it on your application and see if the torque is in the right setting or if you might need more torque. And if you do need more torque, the way to adjust this without taking the tool apart is there's an adjustment ring right here that allows you access to that clutch that we just changed the spring on. So you just twist this ring until you see the opening and you can see the clutch inside the tool. Now if the hole where you put your adjustment key is not visible, you can simply turn the shaft of the tool until it is visible in this opening here, and then you just take your adjustment key, and DeSutter has it marked for reference right on the nose of the tool. So if you turn to the right, it's going to give you less torque, and if you turn to the left, it's going to give you more torque. So I'm going to give it a couple cranks to the left to increase the torque setting on my tool. And then you can go ahead and try your application again and see if it's adjusted properly. And just make sure you close this opening here to make sure no debris gets inside your tool while you're operating. And that's the end of today's video.